G'day everybody. Now how can we fix the problem when you can't really buy from Bunnings, see Bunnings, because for the average man, when you go to buy things, Temu, things like that, they don't get any more better than like how Bunnings sell things to the local public, where they will work for a Band-Aid type of thing in a lot of areas, right? Or for something small, but not for decent scale, right? Or something different, or more popular in certain areas. It's just, this is what we got, this is what we offer, this is what you can do. You can go out and do what you want to do, but only limited. Right? Otherwise, you might have troubles in certain areas. And the trouble that I've talked about is getting thicker solar panel cords, easy to find at a decent price. Right? When you go to buy them, they usually go from, 18 gauge, even 16, 18 gauge to 10. You might find that you can buy the cords, what they sell for these. Any higher than 10 in thickness, you'll find that you won't find anything that can fit plugs. Right? So you'll have to rewire everything, all the wires, all the plugs, to change the gauges, which industrial places do and stuff like that every now and then, as they need to, as they're way more different than what you would go buy at a do-it-yourself kind of project. And so I've had issues where I use more panels than I need to, so I can have efficient amount of power most of the day, right? Instead of 4 hours or 6 hours, I try to get the whole as much as I can. So pretty much getting the panels to follow, but I can't do that. So I have enough panels all over the place. So when the sun moves, I'm able to capture a efficient amount of power. But sometimes every now and then during the midday, I get way too much power. But I have a system where it doesn't need it, so I don't use it. But I still need to have more panels to get efficient amount of power. And when that happens and you get the power boost, definitely in summer I've noticed, where cords might heat up, or you might get these issues in this area, where the cords, where they say they're efficient to handle, they can't. They're not double rated or triple rated or 7 times rated like a pillar in a building needs to be for safety and to make sure things function if it does get overloaded a little bit, because you need leeway in certain areas. But we find that it's mainly just advertise, make it sound good and sell it, and people won't bother about it, or they'll move on and do a government thing and pass the buck or something like that. And so what I struggled to do was to find a thicker cord in the system that I set up, the way I want to set up when it comes to buying one yourself without having a business card membership or knowings of other areas where businesses know, like going to Reese and stuff like that. They're still there for us, but more places where only businesses usually find out about these things. And so what I end up doing, or gonna do, is change these plugs. So you've got plugs like this that come together, and I could have up to 3 different separate panel sections, because usually people just have one lot of panels somewhere in a corner, and then to the system, and I'll have 3 different sets. And if you just got one set lot, 10 to 12, and it's one just little set, these usually are fine, right? But when you go to 2 or more, you might find that you might, after 2, that you're hitting into the industrial, more than usual type of thing, and they're hard to find. And when that usually happens, it becomes costly, and that's sad, right? And so what I wanted to do is get around the cost, do it yourself kind of thing. I've got plenty of time. If you've got time to do things or someone to do it for you, you can head a different direction, a different route, and that's what I'm doing. And so when it comes to these plugs, unfortunately I've noticed, I could be wrong, let me know, you can only really buy them in one size like this. Every time I've seen them and open them up, all different types, they're all being the same size clip. Here you can open them up so wide, right, to connect a wire. As these are efficient size enough to connect these wires, you see. And if you try to get thicker, it becomes harder to do it, to connect these wires. And then is this clip safety enough to even use if you go too thick? Right? That's another thing you got to think about when it comes to these type of clips and what type of metal you use and all that kind of stuff. So what I thought, I've got 4 gauge, which I can get at a decent price, not too bad, where it's thick for a main line, so for a line that all the solar panels connect to mainly to go to the solar unit, right? And what can I do about that when it comes to connecting to something with previous connections on there, without rewiring everything? I want to convert a thicker cord to it, but I can't buy one, right? Just told you about the gauges, but I want to go thicker. This is 4 gauge, right? It'd be more safer. The batteries want to like to use 4 gauge and work well with this, and the solar units bring in just as much as the batteries want to kick out and stuff. Then I believe that the solar should have the same thickness, and then I won't have to worry about they don't even heat up at all from going from a thinner wire that I showed to a thicker one, to double, right? Half used to play up a little bit, now it's double, there's no problem, kind of thing. Instead of going even a bit more thick, I could help, but I just went pretty much double the thickness. And so what I'm going to do, and I noticed with these, is it's really thick at the end, right? Look at that, 4 gauge, pretty thick. At least 3 times as thick as that. If not, it's more. It's probably about 5, roughly. You could split up nearly or 4. As you can see there, there's a bit of thickness on it. I might be wrong, it could even be only 3. Could be right with that one. But it's pretty thick, and I know I can definitely get 3 like that out of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this cord and split it into 3 like that. So as it all comes up, a little bit like how they've got this connection. I'll find out if that's all good, legit and good. I'll solder it a little bit around where it connects right here as I split into 3. Should be good enough, as far as I know, to split this cord, so it'll end up looking like that at the end, you see. And then I'll be able to connect the other 3 systems to a thicker cord by using existing bits and then converting it to one, because that's what it did when I converted it to it. Every one that got closer from the point where it converged, it was the hottest point, and I had a really heat up because it converged to 3 and still hanged onto this. It was just too much. So with this way, when it converges, it should be able to handle it, have a big more bulk of solder there to come in. Even if the solder wasn't there, it should have the flow in nice and easy, like pipelines, and the power to flow into one line. But anyway, let me know what you think, and have a good one. But that's the go to make a 4 gauge solar line at about would say $40 with the bits that you'd hook onto per each 6 meters for 2 lines. So that's a pretty cheap rate. You let me know that you can get a cheaper rate than that, but that's what I picked up at the moment, and that's how much it's going to roughly cost me to get this done. So have a good one, and see you later.